First it was closing, now it's not. You could forgive the good people of Kaikohe in the very far north for being a bit confused about what's happening to their big red shed. The warehouse said yesterday it would close its Kaikohe store in June with the loss of dozens of jobs, but today it did a U-turn. Our Northern reporter Lois Williams went to Kaikohe to find out more.
It was the worst news possible for Kaikohe's warehouse employees. The company told its 60 staff yesterday they'd be out of a job in June. It said it had been unable to renegotiate its lease and the store would have to close. The first union organiser, Gary Hetherington, says that came as a bombshell.
There was a lot of upset employees yesterday at the meeting. This is devastating, not only for them, but it would have been devastating for the community.
It was a rough night for the 60-odd employees. Kaikohe's not a town where jobs are easy to come by, but by midday today, the warehouse had changed its mind. It had been able to reach agreement after all with its landlord, it said. The landlord, John Levers, had wanted to sign the company up for a long-term lease, but he says the warehouse wasn't having it.
For them to turn around and say that, you know, this happened because of the landlord, well, yeah, the landlord was trying to stand up for himself, and unfortunately the big bully just got too much. So now I've folded and they've got what they want and I'm screwed.
The warehouse general manager, Pejman Okavat, as the tenant, has a different take on the deal.
Actually, we're the tenant here, and ultimately he rejected our offer. So from where we are, we had no choice.
Gary Hetherington says the warehouse has agreed to a 2-year lease. And while that's no guarantee Kaikohe's red shed is here to stay, it's some consolation for anxious staff wondering how they were going to feed their families in a couple of months.
It's something that we can work on and build on, and there's no guarantees that it won't close in 2 years, but there's no guarantees that it will be closing in 2 years.
There are those in Kaikohe who will tell you the warehouse ripped the heart out of the main street when it arrived. All the mum and dad businesses, the shoe shop, the sports gear shop, the menswear store, they all folded. Dot Field, who lived in Kaikohe for 50 years, says the warehouse provided jobs, but it changed Kaikohe forever. She says if it does go, those little shops are gone for good.
And it's very sad to see. It's just like the big boys playing with the big cats playing with a tiny little mouse. That's what it's like. Kaikohe people don't deserve this.
But down the road at Bridgestone Tyres, the boss, Mark Anderson, says business is picking up in Kaikohe, and not just for him. The chair of the Kaikohe Business Association says it would be disappointing if the warehouse left town, but not the end of the world. He believes the little town that's been in the doldrums for so long is starting to move again, partly because of the growing fame of the Far North cycle track.
We had the busiest month ever in the history last month. Plenty of guys are looking for tradesmen, struggling to find them. And there's only about 3 or 4 empty shops in town, so the mood is a lot better in town than it has been for some time. There's a real sense of optimism that the slide that has happened for so long is to be reversed and is about to go back the other way.
And the news that the warehouse is not closing, at least for 2 years, went down well with shoppers in Kaikohe this afternoon.
You know, this is the cheapest place for beneficiaries, for older people. It's convenient, and if it closes, it's going to be devastating.
It's really exciting. You know, Kaikohe is not dying.
In Kaikohe for Checkpoint, Lois Williams.